16, he said, unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. And in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Now, here's what I want you to understand that a lot of people miss when they read this, and they don't really understand. And so I wrote this down to make sure we get this. So I said, now you have to ask yourself, why would the Father issue this punishment if it was already the case? Greetings, friends, family, and seekers of the truth. This is Kenny Green with Warriors of the Ruwach, and we're down in Dallas, Texas for our 2022 fellowship. And I would be remiss if I didn't take the time out to give all the praise, all the honor and esteem to Yahuwah the Most High. And thank you all for taking the time out from your busy schedules to spend time around people that's walking in the truth and trying to live their lives in a way that's pleasing to the Heavenly Father. So we hope that all that are viewing right now, that you are walking in the truth of the Father and understanding how important it is for us to do those things that are pleasing to Him. So with that being said, we wanted to take an opportunity to come before you and discuss a topic, and we want to entitle this message Non-Negotiable. And so before I get started, I just simply wanted to speak to the ones that's here, because we know this is a video and we sending it out. But for the ones that's here, we know that we always have a session at the fellowship where it's all inclusive, and we come together as a unit, so to speak, to be able to discuss the truth of the Father. And so I wanted to make sure that we got that in, and we have just finished up a roundtable discussion with the brethren, and then I wanted to bring all of the Akusian that's here and my little Soriel over there, and let us operate as a unit and hear what thus said Yahuwah. So it's important for us to get that time in, get that word in, and understand that whatever we do, the Father ought to always be that guiding factor, that guiding force in our life. Because if we follow His lead, He gonna always lead us to truth. He gonna always lead us to righteousness, and He gonna always bless us just like He said He would. Okay. So with that being said, this non-negotiable topic is for all of us. So when we going through here, let's look at it from that perspective and understand that it's for all of us. But it's from the Father, because when we come to these fellowships, He always give us something. And so me and Op was up last night late, and the Father dropped this in my lap, and I said, man, I gotta do that. I said, if I don't do that, I'm being disobedient. So when it come down to obeying the Father and what He would have me to give to His people, then I'm gonna stand right in there and do it. And if it's any backlash there, I'm standing right there to take it. Because if I gotta take something for anybody, I'm gonna take it for the Father. And that's how we have to be, and I know that He always got my back. So with that being said, let's jump into this thing. We'll try to get through this so we can get out. And we would ask all those out there that's viewing this video to please, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. So those out there that's not in tune with the Father, don't really understand what thus saith Yahuwah, will have that opportunity to do so, to see it, to hear it, and then make that opportunity to walk according to the word of the Father. So with that being said, we'll get started. Non-negotiable, and we're going to be coming out of, and I should have had that already here, but we're going to be coming out of Genesis 3. And what we simply going to do is we're going to go through Genesis 3 real quick, and we're going to break that down. I'm going to give to you what the Father gave to me, and then we're going to rock out. Okay? So let's turn over to Genesis 3. And you know how I am when I do this. I like for it to be inclusive and not just me sitting here reading everything, saying everything, and nobody else coming. So I'm just gonna kind of move around. So if you got your word open, then you please be ready for me to call on you here, because we're going to break it down. It is actually 24 verses, so we're just going to read a few and see how they go. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start out with Kelly. And I'm going to say, Kelly, would you read me the first 3 verses of Genesis 3?
Mm-hmm. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, Ye hath Elohim said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Kelly. Now let's break these 3 verses down, because as we go through, that's how we're going to do it, so we don't have to come back. When we get through with these 3, we might reference them, but we don't have to come back to them and go over them again, because we didn't already read them. So we're going to go through here and just break it down. And if any other ox or you all got a question about something, then hey, you know, we can stop and do that real quick, but this should go pretty smooth. So here in these first 3 verses, we see, you know, the role of the serpent. And it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. And so I wanted to look up that word subtle, so I went in and looked up that word subtle from Oxford Languages, and it just simply said, especially of a change or distinction, and that was in parentheses, so delicate or precise as to be difficult to analyze or describe. See, so in other words, it just let you know that this was saying that this serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. So he was a crafty individual. He was a crafty beast. You know, he knew how to manipulate his way into whatever he wanted to do. He was, in other words, he was good at it. Okay? And then, Rob, I'm going to have you to read from the Tanakh what verse 1 said.
All right.
Or verse 1 through 3, so we don't have to come back to the Tanakh on that. We'll know what it said about 1 through 3. So go ahead, if you will.
All right, it says, Now the serpent was the shrewdest of all the wild beasts that Yahuwah Elohim had made. He said to the woman, Did God really say, You shall not eat of any tree of the garden? The woman replied to the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the other trees of the garden. It is only about the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden that God, or the Mighty One, had said, You shall not eat or eat of it or touch it, lest you die.
Okay, and so in the Tanakh, it didn't say subtle. It said shrewd. So we looked up the word shrewd. So we want to make sure we understand. And I don't ever want to sit down to express what the Father's saying and not try to be on point about it. So we looked up shrewd out of what was that, out of the Webster's Merriam?
Merriam-Webster.
Okay, and it says, I'll give you just a few of them. It says, marked by clever, discerning, awareness, and hard-headed acumen. Okay, and all acumen mean is just the keenness of and depth of perception, discernment, and or discrimination, especially in practical matters. And then another one was given to wily and artful ways or dealings, severe or hard, sharp or piercing, mischievous. So see the serpent was being a little bit mischievous here, because he had an agenda, and his agenda was to get the woman to go against what Yahuwah had said. See? And so then when you get off into verse 2 and 3, you actually see that the woman knew what Yahuwah had put in place, right? She said it. What did she say right there? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So it wasn't just that they wasn't supposed to eat of it; they wasn't supposed to even touch it, according to the word. Now I'm saying what the word say. You know, you hear people always talk about that story, but you don't hear much about the touch part. They just talk about the eating part, right? That they wasn't supposed to eat it, but he said they wasn't even supposed to touch it. So he really had like hands off on this thing. I don't want y'all to have nothing to do with that with that tree right there. Okay? But what I wanted to point out was that the woman understood what Yahuwah had said about the tree, right? I want everybody that's listening and everybody right here to understand that she knew, okay? And then on top of that, the serpent wanted to make sure that he played on what she know so he could convince her that, hey, you can go and do that. So we're going to see how this is going to play out, because me and Rob sit down and did this, and I have never looked at this story like I did last night, and Yahuwah hadn't given it to me like he gave it to me last night, which is why I had to bring it before you today. And when we get through here, you're going to see what I'm talking about. So now we're going to switch over there, and we're going to ask Liz to go ahead and read 4 through 6.
And the serpent said to the woman, "You shall certainly not die, for Elohim knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be like Elohim, knowing good and evil." And the woman and the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wish. And she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave to her husband with her, and he ate.
Okay, so now we got some stuff happening. We got several of things going on right here that I want to make sure we break down and understand, so you can see that we all have a role to play in this. When I say we all, man and woman, have a role to play in this thing. You hear a lot of times that, people, especially from a worldly perspective, they want to beat the woman up about, what she talked the man into doing. But Adam, what did you do? Because see, if you did what you were supposed to do, really, it was going to end up being irrelevant what the woman was trying to do, because you stood up and did what you were supposed to. So when we get down in here, y'all going to see what I'm talking about. So we're going to stay with it. So, the ones that's viewing, stay with me as well. So let's break these down. Now we're going into breakdown mode, okay? So breakdown mode 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, "Ye shall not surely die." So he had to establish doubt in her mind. And so first, he established the doubt in her mind that, if I can just convince her that she ain't going to die, then she may actually go ahead and do what the Father didn't say do. So he had to come with that doubt. He said, "Look, you ain't going to die." And then he went on to break it down, as to why. He said, "For Elohim doth know, in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as mighty ones." And it says God's there for, for you all out there to think people be changing things. I just want to make sure that, it says it's God's there, but that if you go into the Hebrew, that's going to be mighty ones, knowing good and evil. So he broke it down to, he said, look, Yahuwah know that if you eat of that tree, you're going to be like mighty ones, and you're going to know good and evil. And that's what he don't want you to do, but you ain't going to die. You'll just know what he know. Okay? So go ahead and do it. And then he went on and said, the scriptures went on and said now that in 6, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So now what happened is she gave in to what the serpent was saying to her. And when she saw that it was good to eat, like, man, she liked this thing, that is good. And it was desirable, to make you wise. Now I even feel different now, Then she said, let me go on over here to my husband and tell him, look, this is good. So that didn't go into all of that, but it just simply said right there that and did eat, and gave also to her husband with her, and he did eat. And so when he ate, something happened. Something happened right there. So, Frank, you got your scriptures open?
I do.
Okay. You hit me with 7, 8, 9.
And the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahuwah YaHuWah walking in the garden in the cool of day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of YaHuWah amongst the trees of the garden. You want me to hit 9?
Yeah, 7, 8, 9.
Okay. And YaHuWah called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou?
Okay, now we got some more stuff going on right here. We got some more stuff going on that we got to break down and pull out to the forefront here. So 7 says, after they did eat, now some stuff started happening, and their eyes were open. Now, do that mean that before they ate of the fruit that they were walking around with their eyes closed? That ain't what that meant. We know that. It just means that now stuff that they couldn't see, didn't realize, didn't know, couldn't perceive, now they can. So boy, that old enemy, he must have been on to something. He must have not been lying. He was pretty crafty. So now, I might be feeling a little good, like, man, yeah, I can, see that now. And it says that their eyes were open and they knew that they were naked, and so now they're like, well, I need to cover up and all of this because I'm naked. But you didn't know nothing about naked before. So something happened. And so they went ahead and they sewed some fig leaves together and they made themselves aprons and, covered up. But what I done told people over and over again, when you don't do what the Most High say, he got to deal with you. You don't get away from it. Please understand this. Please see this for what it is. It wasn't like after their eyes was open, YaHuWah said, I'm gonna just act like I ain't see that. What it say? It went right there and said that, after they got through and made themselves apron, then shortly after that, I would say, because it said after, that they heard a voice, the voice of YaHuWah, walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And then what it say about Adam and his wife? It said they hid themselves from the presence of YaHuWah Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. Why did they hide themselves? Because now you done did something wrong. You're naked. You done did something wrong. So now here come the Father doing what he always do. If you get off into this, into his book, into his word, he always deal with that unrighteousness. So here he comes. So in 9, it says that and YaHuWah Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? Now, let me make sure for everybody listening that we understand this verse right here. Because who did he call?
Adam.
Wait a minute. Did he call Eve?
No.
You sure he didn't say Adam and Eve? The word say he said Adam. But wasn't the interaction with the serpent and wasn't that Adam? Eve and the serpent? Why he didn't say, hey, serpent, Adam and Eve, front and center? He didn't say that, right? It said that he said, Who?
Adam.
Where art thou? Giving you that look like, what? I need you right here. Okay? So stay with me because I'm going to help y'all understand, because there's so many facets on this story that people want to try to overlook. And then in so many instances, the woman, and when I say the woman, I'm talking about the women of today, they feeling bad. And people try to make them feel bad because they feel like it's their fault. All their fault, solely. No, they fault solely. We don't get to that. Because when he started to make his move, the Father, you're going to understand how he looked at things. And that's what we want to get to. So Rob, come on in there and let me get 10, 11, and 12, and 10, 11, 12. Yeah, let's do that.
All right, 10, 11, and 12. All right, he says, it says, he replied, I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked. So I hid. 11. Then he asked, who told you that you were naked? Did you eat of the tree from which I have forbidden you to eat? 12. The man said, the woman you put at my side, she gave me of the tree, and I ate.
Okay, so now we got some stuff happening. Y'all stay with me, because when we get down, this thing got 24 verses in it, and we halfway. So stay with me, because when Yahuwah dropped this in my lap, he also said, look, you gotta share this and let them know. So we're looking at 10, and he said, I heard after he said, Adam, where art thou? Adam responded, and he said, well, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And so I'm just, in my mind, I'm imagining Yahuwah with him telling him this story. Because you have to understand that they trying to keep something from the Most High, which is impossible. You can't keep nothing from the Most High. He see all. He know all. You may convince yourself and psych yourself out that you're getting away with it, but you don't get away with it because you can't keep nothing from him. And so I'm just imagining the Father when he's telling him, doing this right here, like, oh my goodness. Told that boy not to, to leave that tree alone, and he didn't do it. So Adam went to making excuses, is what it was. So let's hear. He said that I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. So Yahuwah came right on in there and he said, who told you was naked? Because you was naked before I left. You see what I'm saying? You was naked before you left. So who told you was naked? Okay? And then he said, and I hid myself. So he hid himself because, think about it. Why would you hide? We hide because we fearful, right? If we think somebody trying to rob us and maybe we ain't got no gun, and we know that if they got a gun and they trying to rob, I might need to hide to give myself a chance at least, because if they trying to rob me and they ain't got no gun and they got a gun, I'm gonna lose every time. So why would you hide? When we hide, even when we hide from our parents or hide something from somebody, we trying to keep it from them because we knew we did something wrong, right? So he knew he had did something wrong. Okay, so 11, and he said, who told you that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? That's packed, because now he's saying, he asked him a question. He said, did you do what I tell you not to do? Because the only way you gonna know all of this, what you telling me, is that you did what I told you not to do. That is why it's so important for us to understand and see how critical it is to be obedient, because the Father trying to protect us from certain things. Mm-hmm. And he can't protect us from it if we go around doing all the things that he tell us not to do. See? So I never intended for you to have to deal with this, but now that you was disobedient, you got to deal with it, and I got to deal with it, because I got to deal with you on a couple of things. I got to deal with you on your disobedience, and now that you've done what I told you not to do, I got to deal with all the stuff that come along with you being disobedient. So it ain't just about you. This is affecting everything else, because I had a plan in place. Now, you don't see that coming forward. That's why I'm telling y'all this. Now, that was 12 when he said, I did eat. Now, come on, Eli, and read to me 13 through 15.
And Yahuwah Elohim said to the woman, what is this you have done? The woman replied, the serpent duped me, and I ate. Then Yahuwah Elohim said to the serpent, because you did this, more cursed shall you be than all cattle and all the wild beasts. On your belly you shall crawl, and dirt shall you eat all the days of your life. I will put enemy another word?
Enmity.
Enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. They shall strike at your head, and you shall strike at their heel.
Okay, thank you. Now, it's getting good. Y'all stay with me. Because now, we right here after he said that the woman gave it to her and he did eat. So now Yahuwah simply knows what he got to do, and he just started his list of what's got to happen next. And so who did he deal with first? This is important. He dealt with the originator of the confusion. See, so he started with the serpent, because if the serpent hadn't done what he did, I wouldn't have had to deal with the woman. And if the woman would have been obedient to the father, based on what her husband had told her, then I wouldn't have had to deal with the woman. And if Adam wouldn't have did what he did, then I wouldn't have had to deal with Adam. So, but because of the disobedience, now I got to deal with everybody. So let's start with the serpent. So here's what he said. And Yahuwah Elohim said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this. So he, in other words, he's letting them know, because you did what you did, now I got to do what I got to do. And that is be that father of righteousness that he say in his word. See, he say he's righteous, right? He operates in righteousness. That's how he operates. And so if you operating in unrighteousness, I got to deal with you just the way I am. Okay? So he started with the serpent. And he said, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and every beast of the field, and upon thy belly thou shalt go, and the dust thou shalt eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. But I wanted to point out one thing. See, when Yahuwah issued that punishment to him, or to the serpent, he told the serpent that thou shalt eat all the days of thy life. This is something that you're going to have to deal with throughout your whole life, over a period of time. Okay? All because you chose to be, disobedient to me. Okay? Now, he dealt with the serpent. The punishment went to the serpent. So now he said, okay, that was the originator. And I'm going to deal with it because he was being mischievous. He was trying to lead my people in a direction that I would not have them to go. So that's your punishment. But now I still got to deal with my people, because it wasn't like they didn't know what I said. And so listen to what he told the woman. So come on, Kelly, we're going to roll back over to you, and I'm going to have you to read 16 through...
Go 19.
19?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said...
Oh, hold up right there, Kale. Sorry. You good, because I did say 19. But I want to stop right there, because them two verses critical. And it's going to help you to understand something as we go along. Now, here's what he said. He said in 16, he said, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. And in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Now, here's what I want you to understand, that a lot of people miss when they read this, and they don't really understand. So I wrote it down to make sure that I didn't bypass it, because I have done a teaching and had a thought and it passed me and I didn't get it. But I said, I'm going to write this down, and I'm going to make sure I convey it to your people like it needs to be conveyed. Because you have to understand that, and me and I talked about this, is that when Yahuwah made Adam, and we're going to do just a quick lesson, and I know y'all know these. He said he created Adam from what?
From the dust of the earth.
The dust of the earth. Okay? And then when he made Eve, how did he say? How was she created?
He formed her from her rib.
Right.
Yeah.
To be what to Adam?
A helpmate.
Okay. So I told Doc, I said, and I used an analogy for me moving because I just moved. So if Rob lived in Little Rock, and he don't, he lived in Oklahoma, but if he lived in Little Rock and we running buddy, and I'm moving and he gonna help me move, am I in charge of him when he helped me move? No, he just helping me move. And so what did Yahuwah say when he told Adam that I'm gonna make you a helpmate? Now y'all stay with me on this. He said I'm gonna make you a helpmate. But then when things got out of whack and the disobedience came into play, he said right here, he said, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over you. And so I wrote this down to make sure we get this. So I said, now you have to ask yourself, why would the Father issue this punishment if it was already the case? Come on, somebody gotta respond. Somebody say something.
Because that's a punishment. That's
Yeah,
a punishment.
it's a punishment.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's a punishment. That's a punishment.
Yeah, it's a punishment. So why would he issue that punishment if the man was already ruling over the woman and if her desires was already to him? Because it wasn't like that. He never intended for it to be like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This why it's critical for us to understand obedience of the Father, because it wasn't like that. That was the punishment. When he did it, he created Adam and he created the woman to help the man, not to rule over the woman and not for her desires to be to him, just to help the man. And they had everything out in front of them, and you're gonna see that in just a minute, that they needed to survive and exist and come up together and honor the Father.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Let me slow you down.
Okay.
Because I'm in agreement, but what I'm thinking, because I don't know if you're going to bring this out, but I want to. But verse 17 is critical.
Oh yeah. And it's coming.
Because it's. You ain't ready yet.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But I just wanted to point that out. We coming. That's why it's important for us, because I told you I looked at this thing over and over again. And you have to understand that if those words right there in that verse, it says that your desires shall be to your husband and he shall rule over you. That was the punishment.
Because without that, he saw that we did what we wanted to do, right? He did what she wanted, in a sense, right?
Well, hold on. Let me just. I have to go here. What I think what this is saying here is that in this sense, this where the Father would have just. I think he would have just. This concept that we have, man and woman, as far as the one man, the one woman, and not because in verse 17 right there.
Don't go to verse 17. So we going, but I'm saying I'm coming to verse 17 to explain what I'm saying. See, I can't explain it because if we jump the gun, then you're gonna miss some point. Because I'm gonna pull it all in. I promise. When I hit 17, we're gonna talk about 17. Okay? But what I want you to get from this is, and this is all I want you to agree with me on, not jump the gun on me, because I ain't got that yet.
Right.
I want you to agree with me that this was punishment. This was the punishment that was issued.
Definitely was punishment.
Yeah. So all my question, and I had to write that question down, is why would the Father issue this punishment if it was already in place?
Right.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. If you can't, that it ain't no punishment if it was already like that.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying about that. That's what I wanted y'all to get. Because I don't want you to miss what we need to get. Why would he issue that punishment if it was already like that? That don't make sense. That's crazy. If I'm gonna punish you, I ain't gonna punish you on something that's already in place. It wasn't in place like that. Okay? So let's now we're gonna get to 17 and 18. Okay, go ahead.
And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife or woman, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, in sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field.
And go ahead and read 19.
And in the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return.
Okay, so now we're going to touch on this 17 that Mike was talking about. Because when you go, that's why I had us to read this whole chapter, because I didn't want to spot read it and not deal with all of it. You see what I'm saying? And that's what happened. That's what they do in church. And don't get me wrong, this ain't no attack on the church. We just going to deal with the truth. And when you ain't dealing with the things of truth, then people get confused. You create in an arena of confusion that people really don't know what they really need to know concerning the Father. Okay, so 17 says.
Real quick, let me read the Tanakh version of 17 real quick.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, because that's what we did. So go ahead.
It says, to Adam he said, because you did as your wife said, and ate of the tree about which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed be the ground because of you. By toil shall you eat of it all the days of your life.
Okay, so, and I'm glad you stopped me there and read that out, because that was one of the things that we talked about. And here's what I want everybody to know. Here's what I want everybody to know. That the curses and the blessings flow through the man. Let me say that one more time for everybody out there, so we can understand that and understand how it works. That the blessings and the curses flow through the man. If you a couple of examples, so we can have an understanding of it. When the father told Abraham that he was going to make him a father of many nations, what did he tell Sarah? He didn't tell her nothing. He didn't tell her she was going to be the mother of many nations. Okay? When Noah was obedient to the Father, he told Noah what to do, and Noah was obedient. He didn't say nothing to Noah's wife. I don't even know who Noah's wife was. But he spoke to Noah, and he saved Noah's family. And then all the, based on the story, all the two of every animal and all of that on the ark and blah, blah, blah. Y'all know the story. We ain't got to go on it. When he dealt with Job, and his wife, Job's wife, said, look, all this stuff going on, you need to curse your God and die. What did Job say? Job said, YaHuWah giveth, and YaHuWah taketh away. Barak, blessed be the name of YaHuWah. He stood in obedience to the Father, and then what happened after that? He blessed him. So many folds. You see what I'm saying? And so it's so important for us to understand, and that's why I said that, and when we read that the blessings flow through the man. That's why I told you, even when, I didn't tell y'all that was in another video that we did, but that Israel is my son, even my firstborn. The son. Now, don't take it wrong, because YaHuWah set that in order. But did he say Israel is my daughter? Even my firstborn? He said, no, Israel is my son, that man. Because that's the way YaHuWah set it up. The blessings and the curses flow through the man. Did I miss anything that we talked about last night on that?
Not on that.
Okay, on that part. So right there, let's look at this. He said, and unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife. And I told Rob, I said, you know what he's saying right there? He said, because you chose your wife over what I told you to do, this was going down. You see what I'm saying? We can't be, as a man, so, and I don't want to use the word weak, although it's appropriate. It's appropriate. I'm looking at the camera so people know it's appropriate. We can't be so weak that when we come to our mates, that we give in and cater to them above what the Father intended for us to do. Because if I listen to my wife, and what my wife is saying to me or trying to convince me to do goes against what the Father would have me to do, she gotta lose every time. Rob made a comment. He said, if my wife go against what YaHuWaH would have me to do 10 times, then she gonna be 10-0. She gonna be 0-10.
And YaHuWaH
0-10. And YaHuWaH gonna be 10-0. Because that's where the blessings come from. Now, let me put that into perspective for you. If the woman, because after this, before I do that, let me just go on through this, and then I'm gonna come back to what I was just fixing to say, and nudge me up if I forget to come back to it. Okay? So listen here, and it says, and has eaten of the tree, because see, YaHuWaH told Adam. He gave those instructions to Adam. Now, Adam conveyed that to Eve, and we understand that because she was able to repeat that, right? That she knew that YaHuWaH did not want them to eat of that tree. And you see right here that YaHuWaH told Adam that I told you not to do that. So you know that if she knew, and YaHuWaH said he told him, that he told her. Because she repeated it to the serpent, right?
Yeah, huh? So she knew.
Oh, she knew.
She had the instructions.
She knew.
She had the instructions.
But when you go back over there, over to verse 6, when it said, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also to her husband. But see, this when a man got to stand up and be a man and say, look here, she did that, even though she did it. But baby, what? No, I'm not eating that. Throw it away. And don't ever go back over there to that tree and touch it again, because he told us not to do that. See, the man got to hold his end of the bargain all the time. See? And that's what we fail to do, you know? And see, I'm married, so I understand. See, if I wasn't married and saying this, then I could see somebody looking at me crazy. But I've been married to my wife almost 30 years. You know? And when she say, we ain't gonna do something, and she has done it before, she'll tell you. I just simply look at her and say, baby, you don't get to make that call. I'm gonna consider what you say. I've been married, I tell anybody, this is a confession, not to brag, but just being real. I've been married to my wife for 30 years. I ain't never called out her name, and I ain't never put my hands on her. Not one time. But she know who the man is. And that's not to brag. If I'm a child of YaHuWaH, a son of YaHuWaH, and I'm walking in his truth, I gotta stand for YaHuWaH. And YaHuWaH want the man to be in control. Why? Because the blessings flow through you, my friend. But now, for the woman's understanding, if you married to me for 30 years and YaHuWaH blessing me, guess who partaking? The woman. You got everything you need. He taking care of you because he blessing me. You getting blessed through me. So if the blessings flow to me, guess who else they flow through? The woman. That's your encouragement in it, women. For you to understand and not feel like you beneath the man, because that ain't what the Father wants you to feel, that you beneath your husband. You his helpmate. But you just got to understand the order.
It's an order.
It's an order. See? Now, back to maybe, often if I miss it, then you can chime in and tell me if I'm missing what you said or if I didn't bring up what you were saying. But let me say this first so I can see if I touch it. Listen to what he said right here. He said, and until Adam, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee. See, he said that I commanded you. Don't eat of that tree. How you gonna let your wife that I gave to you to help you manipulate you into doing what I told you not to do? See, because even at that time, the blessing still flowed through the man, because YaHuWaH created him and he gave the woman as a helpmate. So he still had the order set up. You ain't got no business for somebody that I gave to you for help, to help you, letting them tell you to go against me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It makes perfect sense. I never intended for you to do that. And so he started out right there with and unto Adam, he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife. In other words, because you chose to do what your wife say over what I told you to do, this was coming down the pipe. And then he hit it. Did you want to?
Yeah, no, you're on point. Just we wanted to hire learners, so we want to make sure that we piercing through this thing,
right,
and getting up. You know what I'm saying?
No
because
doubt.
now, what I wanted to point out here is that we notice, and what he said to the serpent, and what he said to the woman, he didn't say to Adam.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say nothing about them breaking any commandments, did he?
No.
He said to the woman this, and to the serpent this, but Adam, to you, because what?
Thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife.
Meaning that the hierarchy is set between the man and the woman, as far as the father saying, I'm dealing with the man.
Right.
But like you said, we got to be smart. We got to rightly divide this thing. So right here, when he's saying your herb should be your husband, like you said, that's a punishment.
Right.
But is that saying that, okay, they were both co-equal and they were... No, because he's saying, he didn't say to the serpent and the woman what he said to the man.
Now,
he said, you broke my commandment.
Exactly. And to your point,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure we know,
Right.
so you know we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Because when he said that to Adam, he said, well, let me read it again. He said right here, he said, and unto Adam, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I told thee. Now, if they was equal, wouldn't he have told both of them at the same time? Yeah, that I told y'all. He didn't say, I told both of you all not to eat of that tree. But he didn't do that. Because, like I said, it's a hierarchy set there. Not about, it ain't never been about control with the father, about the man controlling the woman. It ain't got nothing to do with that. It's about order. Everything the father do got to be righteous. It's got to be an order to it. And so I created the order. So if I'm gonna give order, and if I'm gonna allow blessings and curses to flow, who am I gonna allow it to flow through? The one that I created first, or the one that I gave a helpmate to? See, but now on the flip side of that, women that's listening, when you try to be manipulative, and you go against your husband and want to go against what the father said in order, when I tell you that the blessings flow through the husband, the curses flow through the husband. And so when he getting cursed, guess who getting cursed right along with him? So if you want to manipulate him and have him go against what the father say, when the punishment come down on him, guess who else it's going to come down on? It's going to come down on you too. So go ahead and manipulate him. Go ahead and have your way and say, no, we're going to do this. I ain't got to do this. I don't need no man. Go ahead. Because when Yahuwah come down through there with that punishment, he going to punish you just like he punished the man for letting you sit there and tell him that nonsense.
Yeah, and then just to add on to that, I mean, when you look at the whole situation, like you just read everything, we just kind of put this thing in a... So basically, the woman was out here dealing with this snake. Who knows where Adam was at? You know what I'm saying? She dealing out here with this snake. And it said she ate of it. Mm-hmm. So he convinced her she was already white. She already done ate. And then she took some of the food she ate and then took it to her husband. And then he ate it. So like he told the Most High, he didn't lie. He like, man, that woman you gave me, she done went and did whatever it is she want to do. And the father is bringing it back around saying, listen, you don't get away from that. That's no different than today in modern times. And we all done came from it to some extent where you might have people that's in the truth. How many times we talk to people that's in the truth? Men, we targeting men right now that say, oh, well, my wife, she still want to celebrate Christmas. She still want to put this tree up. You allowing her to do that and not stopping that, you don't get to get away and just say, well, I'm not doing it. She's doing it. The father's saying, no.
Right.
You don't get to get away.
And see, and that's what I wanted to bring out. And when I was sitting down, and I don't know why I ended up on Genesis 3 last night. But I know that the Father set it down in my lap, and he said, I don't want you to just have it with the people that's down here at the fellowship with you, because I know you're going to do that. He said, but I want you to get your nephew to get that camera going and get it on that ministry website, warriorsoftheruach.com, and let the people that's viewing know that this is what thus saith Yahuwah. And if you really want to understand how the blessings flow, which is through the man, then you understand how the Father set things up. That's his order. You know, if you got a problem with something, you got a problem with the Father. You ain't got a problem with your husband when he's trying to tell you what's right, and when he's trying to keep his family, order right there so you all can be blessed. See, that's important for us to understand. So let's go on through, because we want to make sure that we get the full gist of what Yahuwah did to Adam because of his disobedience and hearkening to his wife. So he said that I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. So he said, cursed is the ground for thy sake. What did he say? He said, cursed is the ground for thy sake. Did he say for his wife's sake? For your sake, because you was disobedient. Yeah. Your wife listened to the serpent. But if you'd have stood up and did like I told you to do, then we could have been dealing with this thing differently now. He said, but now, just like I had said before, the blessings flow through the man, the curses flow through him too. And so now he said, cursed is the ground for your sake.
And that all of us got to eat that curse.
All of us got to deal with that curse. You see what I'm saying?
We all got to work for what we get.
See, he never intended for it to be that way. That's what I try to get people to understand. Disobedience play a key role. And I got a video coming up called Our Actions Are Key. Anybody can go around with lip service and say Yahuwah this and Yahuwah that, and I love him this and I love it. But when he challenge you to do what he tell you to do, are you going to be obedient to what he say do? Or are you going to do it the way you want to do it? Because that's what's going to be the telltale. All actions going to be key. Okay? And so then he said, thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. And in the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground, for out of it was thou taken, and for thou dust art, and unto dust shalt thou return. And see, here's the inevitability. Say that again. Inevitability of everything. We all got to get up out of here one day. That's why we don't get to come here to say, he said, from dust you came, and from dust you gonna return. This temple he's talking about. We don't get to stay here. Lord, Yahuwah know that I didn't experience it here in the last few years, probably harder than anybody. Cousins and sisters passing away. And so when is that opportunity? When is that gonna come when we no longer here? And it's coming. And so it's important for us to understand that we're getting up out of here. But while we're here, we got to do it the way that the Father would have us to do it. It ain't no way around that. Non-negotiable. That's the name of it. When Yahuwah issued that punishment down, was he going to listen to Adam trying to negotiate his way out of it? And Adam did. Because he said, well, my wife, the woman that you gave me for help, she did that. He like, look, dude, this ain't negotiable. I told you what to do. And you didn't do it. And so I'm going to punish you for that very reason. Okay? And so then we go down and it says in the next verse that, and Adam called his wife named Eve because she was the mother of all living. And when he say that Eve was the mother of all living, that's what she would represent going forward, and what she did and the punishment that the Father issued out that was non-negotiable. Everybody coming down the pipe got to deal with that until Yahuwah will come down through there and remove that punishment. Kind of like when you put your child on punishment to look, you on curfew for a month, and until that month over, you can't leave the house. You come home from school, you do your homework, you look at a little TV and get to bed, but you ain't getting out the house for a month because you didn't do what I told you to do. So it's a timeline, and it's his timeline as to when he gonna deal with it. Okay, and I mean this is just a part of it, a very small part of it. We get in there and go to talking about how he gonna do Israel going forward. That's a whole different ball game. But this right here, and helping us understand from a man and woman perspective how Yahuwah wants us to simply be obedient to his word and walk in his truth. And all that extra stuff about, I'm an independent woman, and all that kind of stuff. And well, my wife, she wanted to do this. Look, if your wife wanted to do it and you go along with it and it's against the word of Yahuwah, she gonna pay the piper and you gonna pay it too. Because the blessings and the curses flow through you. That's why it's critical for us to understand the order and understand that, if I love my wife, treat my wife like I'm supposed to treat her, but help her to understand we got to stay in the order of the Father so we can be blessed. And if you don't want to sound harsh, like sometimes I do, and Father forgive me, I tell my wife, look, we got to do it the right way. I know that you don't want to do this, but we going to do it, Well, maybe you shouldn't go to Dallas. Yeah, I'm going to Dallas. If you want to come on. If you don't, I'll see you when I get back. And sometimes that don't go good with a woman when they want their way. But see, if you look at this story, Eve wanted her way. She thought that it was good. So I'm going to do it. And now I'm going to go stroll over here to my husband and try to get him to do it. And just what you don't want to happen, that's why this is here. And you heard me say it at the end of all my videos. Please allow the word of Yahuwah to be a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your pathway. So it'll always lead and guide you where he wants you to go. And you ain't got to worry about that punishment coming down the pipe because I did it the way he intended for me to do it. That's critical for us to understand. Okay? And so now we go down and it said that unto Adam also and unto his wife did Yahuwah make coats of skin and clothe them. Now listen, they made some fig leaves and covered themselves, but Yahuwah in his great mercy for his creation, he still said, you know what, they messed up. But now they know they naked. Which I never intended for them to know they was naked. But I'm gonna have mercy and I'm gonna make them some coats of skin. And then later on, and I'm paraphrasing or just kind of putting it out there, but y'all know I'm telling the truth. They'll figure out how to make them some clothes later on. But for right now, I'm going to clothe them. And that's what it said right there. So they won't be, looking funny at each other and stuff. And Yahuwah said, behold, the man has become one of us. Now check this out. He said that. See, we missed some of this stuff in here. He said, behold, the man has become as one of us to know good and evil. Because he never intended for us to have to deal with that. And Ak made a good point. And I thought about it and I agree with it. Because if he knew that if they knew evil, he probably wasn't as worried so much about the good because good just is what it is, right? If you're good, you're good. But if you're evil, he got to deal with you. So he really was trying to make sure that he didn't have to deal with a bunch of stuff that he didn't want to have to deal with, and he didn't want to have to deal with the evil. So listen up, and I'm gonna come to confirm what I say. He said right here, and now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of that tree of life and eat and live forever. So now, if you know evil and you live in forever, then what you will have to do, you're going to have to forever deal with evil. And he never intended for that to happen. That's critical for us to understand why he did what he did next. So he said, therefore, YaHuWah sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man. Wait a minute. Did he let Eve stay? No. See, he said he drove out the man. Why? Because now, let's circle back to what it said. He said, because, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over you. So if he cast Adam out of there and drove him out, you gotta go too. And then he said right there, he said at the east of the Garden of Eden, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword which turned in every way, which means you ain't getting up in there. If you try to get up in there, that sword turning every way, you gonna get chopped up. And you ain't coming back. I'm making sure because there's something in there that I listen. I allowed you to be kind of guardian of before, and you was disobedient and you didn't do what I told you to do. And so now I got to make sure that you don't come back in here and try to do something else that's going to disrupt what I got in place. And so I put that there, and he said, a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. Because I don't want nobody eating that tree and knowing good and evil and then living forever. And I got to deal with that forever. And that's why stuff happened like that. And so when this came to me, and I want to make sure that I didn't miss nothing on there, I wrote one other thing down. So I said, quit. Let's stop knowing what we supposed to do and not doing it. Quit acting like we got to make an excuse for everything. You know what the words say. Do what the words say and receive the blessings of the Father. He set this in place. Not our Mike, not our Eli, not our Kenny, not our Rob, not our Frank, not our Jay. The Father did that. It's right here in his word. Receive the blessings by being obedient and doing what the Father would have us to do and walking in the truth, or receive the curse by being disobedient. But understand that, and here's how I'm going to end this. And because we've been a minute now, so I'm going to put the button on it, bow it up, and you can get in my comments if you got any other question, and we'll deal with it from there. But here's my message to the man, and here's my message to the woman. And I'm going to start with the woman. Understand that the blessings and the curses flow through your husband. And if you go against him concerning the Father's instructions, he got to deal with it if it's unrighteous. And if he end up dealing with it and issue that punishment coming through your husband. So your husband going to get it, but you going to get it too. And understand as a man that if you stand up and be the man of Yahuwah that you're supposed to be, and I tell anybody, that don't mean mistreat your wife. That don't mean talk crazy to your wife. But that mean love your wife, but also establish it up front. Me and Rob talked about this. I've been married to my wife for 30 years, but I told y'all I ain't never put my hands on her, and I ain't never called her out of her name, and that was established up front. I didn't wait 10 years down the road. I didn't hit upside her head for 10 years and then decide I was going to stop. And I ain't call her out her name and treat her any kind of way for 10 years and then decide I was going to change over. I set those boundaries up front. And I said, he didn't give her to me to be. He didn't give her to me to call out her name. He gave her to me to help me. And I got to treat her a certain kind of way. But I also got to be that strength for her. I got to be that truth that she see every day and understand that Yahuwah set order in place. And in order for me to receive what he got for me and my family, I got to be obedient. And what does that scripture say? That obedience is better than sacrifice. And we all know that. So with that being said, my family, it is always my will, my prayer and my desire that you allow the word of Yahuwah to be a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your pathway, that we may always do, say, and go where the Father would have us to go. And that you shall know the truth of the Heavenly Father. And that the truth shall make you free and live your life in a way that's pleasing to Him. Once again, this is Kenny Green with Words of the Ruwach. Shalom.
Shalom.